Well, the species is Paysonia stonensis, Stones River bladderpod, and at one time it was considered for federal listing, but instead of listing it, they came up with something called a candidate conservation agreement, and that is Department of Environment and Conservation, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, Corps of Engineers, and Tennessee Wildlife Resources Agency are all doing things to benefit the species. And the end result of that is these fields get farmed, and that provides conditions that this plant likes. We don't know what the original conditions were. People think it may have something to do with buffalo, and you'll see river cane in the background. Buffalo were attracted to river cane, so the disturbance of the buffalo might now be replicated by the plowing of the farmer. And they can't use herbicides in a certain part of the year, and they can't start farming until a certain part of the year. But all of that leads to what you're seeing in this field. And that allows us not to have to list this at the federal level. As long as it's doing well and we keep monitoring it, that's the goal of all this.
This is called the Spring Creek bladderpod. It's a Paysonia perforata, and it is different than the Stones River bladderpod in that the flowers are the same, everything's about the same, the leaves. It's just the fruit is a little bit more hairy, has a lot more hairs on it on the Stones River, and this one is really smooth. And there's about 4 seeds inside each of those little bubbles, I guess you call them. Pods, but other than that, these plants are identical, except for those traits, which genetically they're different too. But they grow in the same habitat. They look exactly the same. Yeah, these are listed, federally listed endangered plant. The other one is a candidate, which means if it's not managed properly and there's a threat to it, that it would be listed. It's next in line, to be listed. This one's already listed, and the problem with this is it's on private land. The only public land would be the city of Lebanon, and the Corps of Engineers has one site. And otherwise, it's on private property, and so we have to get agreements to be able to come and monitor the plant and make sure it survives.
Okay, so here we have our 2 species of native bladderpods that we've been examining today. This morning, fortunately this specimen looks a little sad now, but this is the Stones River bladderpod from down in Rutherford County. And then here we have the Spring Creek bladderpod in Wilson County. The Spring Creek bladderpod is federally endangered, and the Stones River bladderpod is state endangered. And we were able to keep it from being federally listed because we have a cooperative agreement between the Corps of Engineers, the Wildlife Agency, U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and TDEC, basically to manage those fields in a manner that is suitable for the plant to exist long term. So there's a good conservation success story keeping that plant off of the federal list. The Spring Creek bladderpod, on the other hand, is almost all in private hands. And these are prime agricultural fields. Cost to purchase these lands is a lot higher, and so far it's kept us from buying land and protecting populations of the Spring Creek bladderpod. But we do work closely with the landowners, keep in touch with them each year, come out and check on the field conditions and see what the plants are doing. and hopefully eventually we'll be able to get a population into more permanent protection. But for now, under appropriate agricultural management, the plants seem to be doing well. So that's the story in a nutshell.